did share it in your email. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
But it just might not show up.
Okay. You're welcome. She's right there.
I just was logged my email.
That's fine.
That's okay.
Thank you, Jesus. They all do.
And I should be able to see my edit as well.
Yeah, it'll look like I'm in there editing, but
I was only able to have social media. It didn't hurt till the next day.
This is stuff that's highlighted.
I happened in the evening. Spent the night in MC home next day. The day after that, I was going around the house. I didn't. I told them they went to give me the notification, stitch me up like that.
I just need to know. Second one, Mark.
that's the nice person.
Well, I have. Yeah. So do you want me to still close it on the second?
Mic check 1, 2, 12, 27.
99. We had 199. Check this. The other problem is people are trying to open it from their personal email. I keep share requests, and I'm not sharing with people's personal I know, that's why I feel like I had everything on there. Right, no one's gonna must have gotten 50 hit requests. And I talked to him, and I said, I don't know what you're doing. I'm not answering that. It's like, because he said in the email, he specifically put, that's the one that you exactly said. So, I'm hoping well, and the only people for us yeah, I mean, in Franklin, it's only the summer, and that's because we're getting $1
No, she has. Good morning, everybody. I have 6:02, and we have 8 of our 9 board members present, so we do have a quorum. The agenda was loaded into board docs for your review prior to the start of the meeting. We typically in work session stick to what we've announced we're going to work on. We have 2 agenda items, a presentation and work session on the school operating budget for 26-27 and the selection of qualifications for the next superintendent. Is there any modifications or additions to the agenda that we need to discuss? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So be it.
Got a first from Mr. Smith and a second from Ms. Lane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Didn't think so. All right, great. Dr. Harris Mohammed, I think you've given us some new materials and some updates to our budget following some feedback from the last meeting. Did you want to go ahead and start by walking through some of that?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Good evening to everyone, and just want to thank my team for being here this evening. Thank you so very much. School board members, from the last meeting, during that meeting, you provided robust feedback for the proposed budget. We have made those additional changes. In addition to that, a budget booklet has been prepared for you. It's a draft. And I just want to take a moment to thank the finance team, thank the leadership team, including the principals, for providing feedback, our federal programs coordinator, our pre-K coordinator, our ELL coordinator, human resources. Everyone played a part in ensuring that we had a sound budget booklet for you. So without further ado, I'm going to go to this slide, which is slide 4, and I apologize for the numbers being very small. I wanted to start here, board members, because there are a couple of updates from you from last Wednesday. The instructional coach vacancy, or the position that we are hiring for, is written in the Title II grant as a coach, not a specialist. So I wanted to update that for you, as well as board member Goodwin made the vision very plain identify the 2 JRTC instructors, make sure that was listed in the budget, which it is. Even though we're paying 50% of one of the positions, we want to make sure that the Board of Supervisors is aware that it's 2, okay? On this slide, go under goal 2. We made an update. We removed the high school because the high school is not included in that grant, even though they have made some security updates. But I wanted to make sure the story was actually told, okay? And that is slide 12.
One question.
Yes, ma'am.
So as you tell the story about the security grant, and this is what we have now.
Yes, ma'am.
So are you going to somehow talk about whether or not I know the deadline for applying for those funds is mid-March, so they're gonna include somewhere that you plan to apply for?
Yes, ma'am. We're in that process. Thank you, Dr. Goodwin. We're in that process now. We want to continue to hold harmless what we have in terms of our surveillance cameras, our school resource officers, any safety bus equipment that we need. We do need interior security cameras on every bus, not just a few. So our security grant that we will be applying for is going to have some upgrades and a continuation of what we have continued to ask for in the past.
Right, but that my suggestion was that this is kind of what we already have. So I was trying to say perhaps you need to make plain, this is what is currently, we got this. Okay, so maybe somewhere in your presentation you need to talk about what we're going to do going forward. Because this is what we've already secured.
Thank you.
This is a part of the 25-26 budget that you're talking about here. You might want to talk about what's going to be in the 26-27.
Yes, ma'am. And sure. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. What I would like to spend some time on this evening is some takeaways from our budget discussion, our capital improvement budget with rankings. I just shared with you the JRTC instructor, supporting America's School Infrastructure Grant Program, which is SASE. Dr. Milby and I participated in one of several webinars yesterday. They are bringing me up to speed. Just wanted to remind the public of number 4, that our local composite index, also known as our LCI, I didn't give the whole decimal, but a 0.32. So we have increased from the previous years. And then I wanted to give just a reminder to the public, those who are watching and here, our budget history that begins on slides 36 and 37. So I would like to go to our capital improvement budget very quickly. If you bear with me. Here we go. All right, so our capital improvement by rank. Several board members asked me to rank the needs. On the left is our FY27 request. That's what we are requesting in our proposed budget. Our immediate needs, as you can see, they're ranked. Boiler replacements at Riverdale Elementary School. I talked about that over the past month or so during the inclement weather, some needs that we have. Also, our HVAC, we're having some challenges with our HVAC controls. And so we don't want to continue to nurse and put a Band-Aid on these challenges. We want to be able to fix them with your approval. RTU replacements, I'm going to ask Dr. Melby, if he's here, what the RTU is.
RTU and AHU, RTU is a rooftop unit,
Thank you.
and AHU are air handler units. So like here at the high school, we do not have a chiller system, so we have rooftop units. At the schools that have chillers, they have air handler units.
Thank you. So we need rooftop unit replacements at several of our schools, including the high school and the VOTEC. And then the last one, number 6, is HVAC controls placement. So I wanted to just spend a little time on our capital improvement requests because these are our immediate needs that has resurfaced, and they resurfaced during the inclement weather. And I can stop here to take any questions.
Ms. Lane and Dr. Tyndall, just any thoughts from the budget committee work or any of the considerations around that, or discussions on, is this where you guys landed as supportive, where we would prioritize capital improvement? Any other thoughts around that from you, from your perspective as committee member?
The first meeting, we didn't have the issue. Second meeting, it went to the top.
Okay. And so any other comments, questions from board members? Do we have support that we think that this is a solid ranking in terms of how we would want to prioritize monetary investment for capital improvement going forward? I know this is part of budgeting, but it's also separate because these are funds we're asking for in addition to the operating expenses that we have every year. So I'm just curious if this is something you concur with, anything that you'd add or take away from it.
I know it's a far fetched, but we really need school replacement to be a priority. I know it's a large ask, but you never get what you ask for. You don't ask for it.
Right, so we have both of those on here. One is the Capron replacement's listed as 2, the middle school is listed as 4. And surrounding that, we have basically, and help me with the enveloping project at SMS and CS. Is that the windows? Or Mr. Melby, or Dr. Melby shaking his head in the background back there to make me feel like I know what I'm talking about. So, so the windows, and do we prioritize that higher because it's something that's maybe achievable quicker, or just help me?
Absolutely, and Dr. Melby can walk forward too. It is my understanding because of the temperature, the windows is impacting the temperature in our buildings, and because they're older buildings, is causing greater concern. Dr. Melby?
Yeah, so looking at them also in a timeline aspect as well.
Yeah.
The building enveloping system, we can get done immediately. As soon as we have the funds from the county, we can set the architects in motion and get that done in 6 to 9 months. They said they can get that done at both buildings in 1 summer and be done. Building a school,
6 years.
it's at 3 years at a minimum process. So that's why the enveloping project was put at the top. And those budget requests, those FY27s were sent to the county in our capital requests, and they were sent right at the first of the year when they were requested.
I'm going to ask a question I probably know the answer to, but I want to ask it just for verification. We'd spent $2.3 million on 2 schools that we plan to basically decommission and replace, but the need is so strong that it's worth spending a little bit of cash now to make sure we can get through until that project would be done.
Yes, sir. And also with that project, it would be eligible for us to apply with the SCAP grant coming up this spring, where the state would contribute 30% of that overall construction project cost.
The only reason I ask is that's just the biggest complaint I hear from the public. And that's just the main reason. I want out there so anybody watching hears why we're doing what we're doing.
No, I appreciate that. Dr. Kendall, did you have something, or Ms. Lee? I saw that fire.
Thank you, Mr. Grisser.
So, HVAC replacement, I'm sorry. The $6 million projection on HVAC.
Yes, so that was an estimate that was provided by both Duluth, they're just trained now, and also Chesapeake Controls. They came through, and that was to do a comprehensive replacement top to bottom throughout the division. So from every VAV box in each room all the way up to the boilers and chillers at the schools could be completely replaced. And again, that's another project that we could, based on funding, if we go space it out 3 to 5 years, or if we want to do it at one time, they could mobilize and knock it out at one shot.
And if that was that includes Capron and the middle school as well. So again, we would probably have to think about, are we gonna prioritize putting those at the front end, or are we gonna prioritize putting those at the back end, depending, I guess, maybe if they could survive 3 years and we could build Capron in 3 years, if.
And I would say the cost to do an HVAC upgrade at Capron is minimal. Because the units that are used there are they're called PTAC units. So they're a slide-in piece that just goes, you see them like your hotel room, it's on the side of the wall. That's what's mainly used throughout the building. Because like I said, they don't have a boiler, they don't have a chiller, they just have those small units for climate control.
It's hard for me to say that any of the things in 1 through 4, hearing all of that, are actually not a number 1. They feel like 1A, B, C, and D to me. I don't know about the rest of the board, but that's kind of the way each one of those feels. But it's 65, it's like $90 million. So we have to have some prioritization or some way to rank it and say we need to bite off a piece at a time and be reasonable about how we approach that. But I don't want to miss out on what we've got below that with some bleacher replacements, a bus garage replacement, and school bus replacements. Those are all important items too. Can you talk just a little bit about what we're thinking about with the bleachers and the bus garage?
Absolutely. So the bleachers at the high school here in the gymnasium are original to the building. And when you go in there, when you go in on the home side, the first section, you'll notice that the bleachers there are white because they've been replaced, because they don't make that bleacher system anymore. So we had this summer, they came in, they do their inspection every year, and we found some components of the mechanism that pushes them in and takes them out that were broken down. They had to be custom made because they just don't exist anymore. So updating that is on the list, but also with that is to replace the bleachers on the visitor side at the football field. Right now they are still the wooden deck, metal pole bleachers that are over there, and we've replaced some boards over the years, but being able to replace those back with aluminum or the stainless steel bleachers would be part of that. The bus garage replacement, so that building I think was last redone in like 89, I believe, because they put an extension on it because that's when buses started to get a little bit longer. Well, today our buses, they don't fit inside there. So if the guys want to be able to work on a bus in the wintertime, they're dealing with the elements, because that bus, the back end of the bus is sticking out the door. You can't shut the door. But also to make sure, because we've replaced insulation over the years, we've replaced the lighting in there, but there's just, it would be to modernize that space to give our techs the ability to effectively work on our equipment. And then also the bus replacement piece, that's on the county's budget every year, where they list us as 5 school buses, but they haven't increased the cost on those buses in about 5 years. So like this year with the dollar amount that we were allotted, we ordered 3 full-size buses and 1 special needs bus. So what I proposed, or what I submitted to the county, was a schedule for the next 5 years showing this is the actual price for 5 buses, and then add 5% each sequential year, so that the funding matches 5 buses actually being purchased. Because I don't think I've ever purchased 5 in the 7 years I've been doing this. It's been 3 or 4.
You got your 4 buses yesterday, $560,000. They are at the board's advice.
Well, at 565 is what we were allotted this past year, and that covered 3 full size and the 1 special needs bus. Because the base price on a bus was $142, I believe it is, and that's a state contract price with Sonny Merriman, with Thomas Built buses. So having 5 buses gets us up to that 762 to get fully covered for 5 buses.
So what you're saying is if they approved 560 yesterday, they bought 4 buses.
They bought 3.5.
The special ed.
Yeah.
All right, and I'm just trying to think about, I'm trying to be reasonable when I'm looking at $90 million or whatever it works out to. My math isn't that great this late in the day. Perhaps some of the ask that we need to have is, can we at least start by by creating a capital improvement fund budget for the schools that is getting a contribution yearly from the county, and you know, maybe the project number one could get taken care of, especially if we can do the SCAP grant and all of that. But then the rest of those big dollar needs, part of the ask that we need to make is create a fund at the county level that's for school capital improvement, so we can start putting some dollars away there, like a rainy day fund would typically be done on a county budget or those kind of things. If we know we have these projects as need, we should be asking for there to be starting to be some contributions there that could sit and earn some interest maybe over the next couple of years and chip away at it.
Yeah, these requests, the way that it was submitted to the county is for their capital plan. So that we are requesting this be placed on the county's capital plan, because like Capron was on there from 2004 to 2014, and then in 2022, it just magically disappeared off of their capital project list. So that this request to them is to place that into their plan for them to budget and them to figure out their finance aspect for these projects.
Well, I don't want to tell them how to do their job, but I do want to maybe come with some constructive solutions that we think might help us find some middle ground of how do we start to get here. I know that we have to probably do loans or bonds or things like that that'll have to happen to get to this dollar amount, but maybe we could stimulate some of that conversation as we go through the presentation.
Yeah, we need to really give them some figures. I mean, they have staff employees that works with them, putting finances together. But the literary fund, bridge loans, all of those things.
Any other suggestions from board members or anything else that we want to make sure that that we're articulating as an ask?
May I repeat what I thought I heard?
You can try.
Absolutely.
We'll see how well you do.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. For us to work on creating a capital improvement budget per school that outlines the funds that the county directly paid to that school for their capital improvement fund. That's what I heard first. Is that?
I think I meant it just a little different. I don't know that we need something per school, but
Okay.
it would be nice to see the county create at minimum a line item in the budget that they're contributing to on a yearly basis that goes toward this growing capital improvement list, in addition to putting these on their capital improvement plan.
Yes, got it. Thank you. And then also to see if we can begin to create a fund balance just for capital improvement funds. Okay. Bless you. Got it. Okay, and so, sorry, just all of a sudden raised my voice. I was not yelling, let me be clear.
Bill on the DJ table over there.
He did. So board members, my ask also this evening is to receive a temperature check on how soon we can begin addressing some of the immediate capital needs. If we want to wait, later, I'm just putting that request out now for something to ponder over. As you all know, there has been several challenges at Riverdale that they have experienced, and just want to begin to have some direction and some hope that we can begin replacing some of the Band-Aids that we have been doing over the past couple of years. So looking for direction.
I think maybe that's a discussion that will be separate from the budget.
And probably one of the things we would need a little insight into is what we have. We had really small line items as far as what maintenance and repair budgets and all that are. I know that we're working on a pretty shoestring budget there, but probably need to know what's available there. And for me, if we were to get into that discussion to talk about what we have this year, that if we have any projected dollars that we might be able to move from one line item to a next, if these were essentially what you're saying is there's emergency needs that need to be addressed. and we would need to think about how that would work.
Thank you.
The board of supervisors over the years have always told us, it's communicated to us, that they can deal with an emergency. So what they don't like is putting money aside. And, but one of the things I would like to suggest that we do is capture improvement. Once we get ready to build a school, we go ahead and plan for the obsolescence of the school in terms of maintenance. We know roofs, asphalt shingles, they give you maybe 15 years. If metal, you may get longer period of time, but we could have a maintenance diagram shown so that we won't get caught in a bad situation.
Essentially budgeting for replacement cost as we go along.
It's building in that preventative maintenance piece as well.
As well,
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we are at a place where we need to make a special request for replacement of those systems due to an emergency need, that might also be something that we should talk about and maybe or bring to the board as an action item for the next board meeting. If we, I saw the condition of the boilers, I saw the havoc that it caused and the extra cost that it caused as a result of some of those things that we need to do better than a Band-Aid on. So we could potentially look at that as a board maybe in our next meeting if everybody's comfortable with that. Is that something you all could bring forward?
Mm-hmm. We sure can. Yes, sir. Thank you. I am going to spend a few more moments on the question that some community members have regarding our ESSER funds. Some individuals in our community may not realize, may not know that we no longer have any access or have been recipients of the elementary and secondary school emergency relief funds, also known as ESSER. Those funds allow for very specific emergencies, remediation, tutoring, maybe not an emergency. However, under that executive order, it was defined as such because of addressing learning loss, ensuring that we were safely reopening schools once the governor at that time changed the executive order. They were one-time allocations, funds that we will not see again unless we go through another experience from 2020. One of the things, though, that is very important that I will share in my presentation to the Board of Supervisors, and I just want to be very clear, that the increase in our budget is primarily due, if not largely due, to the loss of those funds. Mr. Smith stated it at best last week. We have always pivoted to ensure that our personnel was taken care of. We made sure that those spots or areas that needed to be filled, we filled those out of our general budget. Because we no longer have access to those funds, any school division no longer has access to those funds. We have operated under level funding for several years. It was stated last Wednesday, but I just want to be clear. And if I wasn't totally clear at that time, I will own that today. But we cannot pull from funding that we no longer have access to. And because of that, and I remember going like this, we're level funded. And so I just want to make sure that we have, that the public is aware, because we have been level funded, 24-25, we were not given, we were short $1 million from the locality. Over time, that cost almost 35 positions that we wanted to make sure that we could cover. And so we're no longer, and the truth of the story is, we can no longer do that financially. We're in a position, board members, that if we begin to eliminate positions that directly face children, the work that you all have done as a governance team to support the work that the leadership team has done and trickle down into schools, it will be a direct impact. So I wanted to take some time, because I had several community members reach out to me. So I wanted to make sure that I was clear that we no longer have access to those funds.
Can I try to summarize what I just heard you say?
Absolutely.
What I heard you say was that our budgets were slightly less while we had access, or significantly less while we had access to ESSER funds, because they were artificially enhanced by federal dollars that we were able to leverage for a number of purposes coming out of the pandemic. And when those federal funds, which we no longer can leverage or utilize, dried up, it was not just that those funds are gone, but it was essentially a loss to the budget, or basically a budget cut that happened because they were not supported at a local or other state funding level. So now, as we've sustained level funding for a couple of years, it's compounded the issue because we've obviously faced inflation, increased cost of wages, all of those kinds of things that have happened. And we've eaten as many of the positions up that we could use that maybe were unfilled or that were not directly student facing. And as a result, our class, or any future cuts or any potential extra cuts are going to impact things like class size, programs,
social emotional support,
all of the things that the school is actually being asked to do.
Absolutely.
And so we've been deferring, to use a Dr. Melby term, we've been deferring the maintenance already on these positions because we haven't had the support positions behind it that we've cut that are not directly student facing. Now we're actually just saying, well, we're gonna have to turn off the boiler to this program or to this school and no longer be able to do that because we can't afford the teachers to do the work. It's basically.
That is correct, or the support staff. That is correct. And one area that we have taken a hit, but we pivot in the process to make sure that we pull our one division social worker, and our one division ELL coordinator. We try to ensure that pulling on them, and I'm using that loosely because it's 1-on-1 with 6 schools and almost 2,337 students. It has been an impact because it has impacted discipline. It has impacted how we deliver services. And so when I present to the Board of Supervisors, I'm going to have some data to show that impact.
Yeah, it's obviously it's things we know, but it's good to have it out in front of us, I guess. So you have a social worker that's got a caseload of about 2,000 students. I have social workers that complain to me when they have a caseload of more than 60 people that they see. So just for comparison's sake, that's one position that translates into my brain relatively easily. And I'm sure that Ms. Boone is a little overwhelmed by that fact. So
she could use the support, and so could our kids. And that's why we always consult out when our students have mental health challenges during the day. She is on it. Miss Elizabeth Morandi Wall, our one phenomenal ELL coordinator in that area. Also, students that she supports could also fit in another category, such as McKinney Vento, our unhoused. And so that compounds their needs. So, thank you. So, what I will be asking on the board's behalf to the Board of Supervisors, and Ms. Carr is always keeping me honest, and I appreciate that, is not a $6 million ask, because we were level funded. We lost about $1 million, 24, 25. We are asking from our local, from the Board of Supervisors, and I want to be clear, it's about $4,615,000. Ms. Carr, am I not correct?
Yes, so.
Look, and this is right now, it's gonna change. It's gonna change.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
on the ongoing governor's budget,
Correct.
that's right.
So based on what they're working on, they met on Sunday, and we received some updates. I shared that with you all in my school board memo, excuse me. And so look for some additional changes. As that change, then I will continuously be working on adjusting the numbers with the Department of Finance.
Yes, you probably need to make clear that this is the amount of the increase, not the amount of the total budget.
Yes, ma'am, the amount of increase. Thank you, thank you, Dr. Goodwin. Amount of the increase. See, I have it in my head, but it needs to come out. This is the amount of our increase. You know, amount of our ask, excuse me. So, just wanted to share that. And then also, I have prepared with you for the above mentioned, earlier stated, a budget booklet with the help of my team. And so any feedback when you all look at this during your leisure, please email me. We can talk during a one-on-one that I have with some of you, and thank you for that. And just share out, as you've been doing, the feedback on the budget. But I really appreciate the opportunity to present a proposed budget to you, which will change drastically, I hope in our favor. But any questions, please let me know. I didn't want to review everything that I said last week, but just wanted to touch some highlights based off the feedback that I did receive from last week. And then also in the budget booklet, as well as this presentation, again, we're showing the numbers. We are looking at, I will share, Mr. Chairman, that during the second budget work session, there was a deep concern about how much we're paying CSEP, which is one of our external partners. And I began to look in the discussion of how can they financially support us using our space in our buildings.
So maybe, if you don't mind, maybe enlighten me a little bit. So currently CSEP is they're using space here at the school. They're also obviously at a few of our others. We're letting them live rent-free, essentially, or work.
That is correct. That is correct.
And do we know if other school districts are leveraging, any kind of decrease in their tuition rates and or any offset for rent costs?
So Virginia Beach right now is the only division, and they charge rent, basically. I'm sure they call it something else, but right now they're the only division that charges for use of their facilities. Although technically any of the partner divisions could. And then there's also, like when we've needed some kind of capital improvement that has to do with CSEP, like the trailer, we can take money from CSEP has a pool of money for all of us that we can use for capital when it has something to do with the CSEP classrooms that are here, so.
That helps, thank you.
Absolutely. And lastly, I just wanted to share with those that are watching is that in this proposed budget, I am asking for a 5% increase for all contracted employees. And Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation for this evening.
Well, we've asked a lot of questions and had a lot of comments going through. Board members, anything else that you'd like to add, ask about, or anything like that? If not, I'd encourage all of us to make sure that we're giving feedback to our budget committee as well as to Dr. Harris Ms. Muhammad, as we get a little bit closer here. So our next step in budget, we're going to have our second public hearing on the budget. You have that in there somewhere?
I believe I
Do, Monday, some other information, there it is, March the 2nd, public hearing on the proposed budget.
So, and that'll be at 6 o'clock here at the high school. And then our regularly scheduled meeting for March 9th, we will vote and hopefully get an approved budget for you to be able to submit to the county on March 10th. So we're getting right up there at the end, so I'd encourage any public comment to make sure that we get it on March 2nd, and then we can make sure we get moving forward on the 9th and move things along. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. The next item on our agenda that would call our attention to is looking at the qualifications for the next superintendent for Southampton County Schools. So board members, a couple of things. You will recall we received survey data last week from the VSBA, and that was presented to us in this beautiful blue binder here. I did my best to look through all of that and consume all of that information, and I sent all of you a document last night. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but it just was basically a summary of that I used a little AI for a little help summarizing some of it to make sure I hadn't missed anything. I thought that was relatively helpful. And now we have a document that the VSBA has prepared for us that we need to make sure we edit so the position can be posted and we can look at the recruitment cycle. I have shared this document to you on Google Drive if you want to take a peek at it on your computers if you've got them up. Mr. Hatch also has it up on our screen for us so we can take a look. This looks very similar to what VSBA already gave to us. The only difference is anything that's in that brighter green color is stuff that I just added as I was trying to make sense of what I thought we should put in there. It is not the final document. That's just so you can see what I added in there and tell me if you don't like it or not. So I wasn't sure exactly how everybody would like to approach this part of the meeting, but I wanted to make sure we had something we could edit in real time to vote on before we leave here. And so I want to open the floor to all of you for any discussion on the data and the information that we saw in the surveys and or your own thoughts on superintendent qualifications and what's important to you.
Well, I think that people need to live closer than 50 miles away. So for me, if you're going to be the superintendent in this area, you need to live in this area. So I agree that you might not have, that the person might not live in Southampton County, but the person needs to live within, let's say, 10 miles of Southampton County, because I think that the superintendent needs to have an appreciation and awareness of the place in which we live. And I think that if that person lives in Norfolk or if that person lives in Smithfield, that's a different person. So I think 50 miles away would do us a disservice. Even if the person came to every game, every whatever, I just think the superintendent needs to live in the community in which he or she serves. So for me, 50 miles is too far away.
And I know this will come as no surprise that respectfully I disagree. We were on a roll there for a few meetings, but yeah. No, I don't want to see somebody who, lives an hour away or lives, that kind of thing. And I don't know, for me, mileage is hard because if you're saying 50 miles from Capron, if you're headed to the east, does that make sense?
Yeah, you're saying 50 miles from Southampton County, so I'm saying, if you're saying 50 miles from Southampton County, then this person could live, let's say, in Virginia Beach.
Right, that's why I like them.
Or this person could live in, close to Raleigh, North Carolina.
Right, and that's why I think the mileage throws me off, although I'm not really sure how else to put it. Because I think like the woman from the BSBA told us, you know, there are so many superintendents now who do not live in the community, you know, in the county, and that we're really limiting ourselves if we're
50%.
right. But I mean, you know, used to be that was just the given that everybody did. I just don't want to see us limit ourselves down too far. And if we do put a radius on it of some kind, I would like to put a caveat in there too that, you know, they would be required within 6 months or within, you know, so that, because I mean, we have people who, you know, may have kids that they need to move, or, you know, I mean,
I'm agreeing on that part.
yeah.
In terms of just the timing could be a part of the contract.
Yeah.
Negotiation in terms of when the person has to meet the residency requirement.
Yeah, but I think it needs to go in the announcement so that, you know, if anybody's looking at it and all they see is, you know, residency. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think we can. So I think in the previous contract, it was required within, I think, 6 months of hire, and so we could definitely caveat that thing. So, and I was trying to, I literally put the 50 mile in there as a conversation starter because I figured it was going to get some conversation around it. So when we're looking at a radius from the county, right, it is hard because we live in a triangle-shaped county that is really broad from west to east on the southern part of our county, and it's also broad from north to south across the county. So, you know, 50 miles from the northern tip of the county could get us as far north probably as Williamsburg, and that's a really long way from Capron. True.
Yeah, and a fair
Yeah.
or a break.
Hinder them from being accessible.
Now, I think I would probably argue, Dr. Goodwin, that, you know, Smithfield is fairly close in terms of being close to our vicinity, and I would argue places like Suffolk and even maybe Greensville are relatively close to where we are. I would agree they're not in our county, but they're close enough that they can experience part of what Southampton has to offer. Would we be comfortable maybe meeting somewhere in the middle and get us closer to 25 or even 20 mile radius that would at least get us into Suffolk and some of our neighboring localities that if there was a really good local superintendent choice, they wouldn't have to move, say, from you know, the Holland area of Suffolk to the county just because they've accepted this job.
I'm willing to, yeah, I could say 20, but to me 50, and I guess in my mind, where I live in the county, so if 50 miles from I guess I'm in the southern area, whatever, I'm in Branchville. So 50 miles from Branchville, that's when you're like in Rocky Mount, North Carolina.
Right.
And we said that we really want the superintendent living in Rocky Mount or Greenville, North Carolina.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So,
I have a hypothetical.
Sure.
Say, for instance, this prospective candidate is in a 50-mile radius and owns a home. Are you expecting that person to move to Southampton County to purchase a home?
I am, yeah.
Wouldn't that be a little bit tight on that new person's economical balance in his book, in his bank?
Mr. Rogers talks about when he came to visit Southampton County and he looked around, or I know that when I've taken jobs in other places, I knew when I took that job that that there was some expectation of my moving. So I think that people who apply understand that they might have to do some relocation, and that's why we do provide for relocation.
It's not going to be immediately.
And, you know, and it does.
No, that was why I asked.
But if we keep in mind, we do this job for $5,000 a week. And we have to live here in order to do the job.
Yeah.
So the superintendent is going to receive much more than that.
Well, but she should probably,
That's why I moved.
go back.
Yeah, that's why I moved. No disrespect.
Right,
I want you to know,
that's
no
where you moved
disrespect. That's why I moved before, and I said, let me go get my stuff.
Oh, okay. So you
Yeah.
came to get
I just came to get my
I
stuff.
wonder why you came back.
No,
She has something to say about it.
I'm gonna wait till you all are done. I don't want you to stop your conversation. I should have thought that. I'm sorry. I'll wait. Let me take my phones with me, okay?
Thank you.
We
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
also, I mean, could, the residency part, well, none of this has to be requirements, right? I mean, we can put preferred and required on anything. So we could say residency within a 20-mile radius is preferred. That then gives us the option, you know, when we're looking at people to be able to say, well, we're not gonna choose this person. We did tell you that we preferred somebody that was close. You know, I mean, instead of having a requirement, or,
Residency. Yeah, I prefer like a 20, residency within a 20-mile radius within 6 months. I would like that to be a requirement.
So
I mean, I'm okay with that.
what if we phrased it as residency within the county is preferred, but residency within a 20-mile radius is required? And this was important on surveys too, so I want to reflect that too. So in looking at survey data beyond just our own opinions, survey data also supported somebody that was familiar with local cultures, familiar with local needs, and all of that. How do board members in general feel about a residency in Southampton County preferred, residency within a 50-mile radius, or 20-mile radius, I'm sorry, required?
Within 6 months.
Within 6 months.
Yeah.
If I can get the computer to cooperate, we'll see if I can actually make those updates live.
Quick question. When we talk about the mileage radius, 20 miles, is that from the actual county border or the county seat?
I think
That
it's from,
Any point.
Any point?
Yeah.
yeah,
That's what I figured.
And the one before that.
Okay.
I believe that school administration should be required, as you said, public school administration experience.
Yep.
Virginia's preferred, but you gotta have it somewhere else. I would like that statement to be sort of like the one that you just phrased, so that public school administration in Virginia preferred, but public school, but administration required.
So does that edit that I just made reflect what you said? Teaching or public school administration experience is
Well, see,
required?
I would put teaching in a whole separate, I wouldn't put teaching on that line. I think that if you're gonna be superintendent, in my mind, you need some administrative experience. So,
Well, and you can't, in Virginia, you can't be an administrator without teaching experience, so we probably don't even need to include.
Yeah, that was just the VSBA carbon copy,
Yeah.
or document that was there, so yeah.
Yeah.
I've got
You
no
have to
feelings.
have-
Anybody else?
You have to have 3 years of teaching experience before you can be an administrator.
Everybody pretty comfortable with that edit? Public school administration experience is required, and that experience in Virginia is preferred?
Yeah, I just pulled up the 20-mile radius from our borders. That encompasses a whole lot of cities.
Yeah.
We should be able to pull from that area. That's a lot.
You take that number back,
I'm sorry,
and that statement you just read, public school administration experience is required, and experience in Virginia.
make it parallel to the sentence below. So that
well, I have to flop them then.
Public school administration, I don't know. So make the two parallel.
I would put the requirement first, so like we have, so the bottom one should be
Got it?
residency within a 20-mile radius is required, but yeah. What about the first one, the doctorate? Everybody everybody think that required is an okay thing?
No.
Preferred,
But I've been in school where they gradually got their doctorate, like 2 years later or something, because they were working on it.
I can live with required, I mean, required doesn't bother me.
I just think that, like in this day and age, when you're, when you look at like a list of superintendents or that kind of thing, rarely, if ever, do you see one that doesn't have a doctorate. I mean, I think it should be required, but.
I feel like it's
I mean,
required.
somebody been in dissertation.
Well, and I mean, by the time, we're saying that experience as a superintendent or an assistant superintendent is preferred. By the time you've gotten there, you have a doctorate. Like the chance that you're just getting to being a superintendent and don't have your doctorate yet means you probably don't have any of the other experience that we're asking for either.
So I'm going to ask for consensus from the board. Was consensus to make it required or make it a preferred option? All right. Look at us compromising and just moving right along. Love it. So of those top 4 bullets, are there any other edits on those top 4 bullets? An earned doctorate degree being required, experience as a superintendent or associate/assistant superintendent is preferred, public school administration experience is required and experience in Virginia is preferred, and residency within a 20-mile radius of Southampton County will be required within 6 months. Residency within Southampton County is preferred. Okay. Then we move down to some of the specific skills that we were looking at, and we've got leadership and management skills. And the survey is broken out that kind of helps you look at the responses to these questions, and then also a lot of the comments that were made in open text fields were also helpful in looking at what public opinion was. I added under the leadership and management, I added the candidates a team player, visionary, creative, and the other words were already in the VSBA announcement. Team player stood out in a couple of the comments, and so I thought it was a place to add it here, but I'm also open to feedback from the board and any other things.
I think since on the survey, that number 1 priority was decisive leadership, that we should probably put decisive leadership first. The successful candidate is a decisive leader who is also a or something.
Any objections to that?
I agree.
Oh man,
We're gonna have to start keeping track of this.
y'all don't be getting too friendly now. It might make things too easy.
Pretty soon we'll be sitting on the same side of the table.
All right. Were there any other edits to the order of that sentence and or the?
I guess I don't know what being a team player means.
Cooperate with each other, just like we do right now.
I was gonna say, I think you guys just demonstrated team play well. You were thinking about what was best for the greater good.
So actually, that part is what bothers me. It's,
Should we word it as a strong collaborator or
Yeah, because it also has like shared decision making as part of that.
I'm losing the word because it's later at night. The person that brings you toward a cohesive answer.
Consensus builder, consensus builder, but
Hang on, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT.
the team player means, well, who's coach? If I'm the team player, who's coach?
I like consensus builder a lot. How do other board members feel about that?
Collaborative leader, consensus builder, relationship driven leader, collective decision maker. Well, since we already have decisive leader, let's do.
Consensus builder? I think that summarizes what is probably looking for there really well too. Good on that one? All right. Personal characteristics. Successful candidate is accountable, a good listener, accessible, and consistent. Anything to add, change, or modify there?
Change a good listener to something. I don't know, I mean,
Open to suggestions.
One of the biggest things when I came to my last job was firm, fair, and consistent. I hated it, but it was correct.
right, like, to me, good listener means, okay, I listened to you and now I'm gonna go do what I wanna do.
So
Like, something that,
receptive to feedback
or just receptive to.
in general.
Just receptive, yeah, to, cause it could be ideas, feedback.
Everybody comfortable with changing that to receptive? All right, and then Mr. Grizzard, I heard you say,
We just use the term firm, fair, and consistent to account for everything. To me, that was kind of like all encompassing. You basically treat your people right.
Say those words again.
Firm, fair, and consistent. We use it as a general term that when you're dealing with people, everybody's the same. You treat them all the same no matter what.
we want to insert any, we've got consistent, so that's there. Do we have any interest in inserting firm or fair as personal characteristics?
I don't know what fair means, you know.
Instead of accessible, can we use approachable? Or synonym? Yeah, I just,
I like the way, you know, the district just said, accessible leader who listens well, is transparent, and accountable.
I'm looking for consensus on if there's anything we want to add here. I do hear good suggestions and all of that. Just want to make sure I'm being fair to hear all the voices. Nope. No, absolutely not.
trying to be what?
I am not qualified to serve in that seat. All right. I'm going to leave it as we have it currently because I didn't hear a lot of support for additional change. I heard some good recommendations. If we want to revisit it before we finish up, we certainly can. Mr. Hatch, can I get you to scroll?
Well, go back to that, instead of, before you leave that.
Maybe not yet, Mr. Hatch. Hold on.
Not yet.
Did I go too far?
Where you talk about receptive, didn't we say receptive listener? So, you know, receptive, you know, the successful candidate is accountable. You know,
We had talked about a couple of different, like, receptive this or receptive that, and just said, just overall.
so I guess the word receptive is throwing me off.
Yeah, if you put listener, then you gotta change the word for all of it, that's just do that now. So, you got to work on it.
Was English your specialty? I'm going to have you proofread my stuff.
It says the
Yeah.
reading and, yeah.
I appreciate that. Make us look at it. All right. And then I think if we go to receptive listener, we lose. Does that mean that we only want them to be receptive to verbal cues, or do we want to have them be receptive to written and all that stuff? So we can dissect that if we want to. But
Receptive to gossip, receptive to slander, receptive to.
I can be receptive to all of it. I don't have to actually act on any of that.
Receptive and discerning.
I don't know, but neither, but the word receptive.
You liked approachable? Do we want to change accessible to approachable, or do you want to have both?
I mean, for me, I think we don't need both. I like approachable only because accessible just means I can get to you. approachable means, to me, right, that I can get to you and that I feel comfortable going to you. And yeah.
Any objections? All right. Okay to proceed? All right, our next section is board and superintendent relations. It's currently listed as a successful candidate understands differences between policy and administration and acts accordingly and effectively mediates and accommodates different perspectives. That was the actual draft straight from the SBA. Any edits, modifications, changes? All right. Moving on to the next section, staff relations. The big green swath there was me having too many words to try to figure out what to add in there based off of some of the survey feedback. So I just took a stab at it because it's always easier to critique than to create. So I figured you guys could help wordsmith that or just delete it out of there if we didn't feel like we supported it. So we added in leverages creative recruitment and retention strategies and supports a culture of enhancing student achievement, which I think I spelled achievement wrong because I got my E before my I.
Yeah, I'm not sure that whole part about the student achievement goes there.
Okay.
Because part of the, when you look at the superintendent evaluation, student success is a major part of the evaluation, so I'm not sure that has to do with staff relations as it, I'm just not sure. You know, because for me, staff relation has more to do with being supportive of staff, and not,
Yeah, because I like the culture part of it, but to me, it's not a culture of enhancing student achievement, it's just the culture of the division.
It'll be changed to like, supports a culture of overall success supported in school division. Or something along
Or
that.
just a culture of support.
Support.
but this is under staff relations, so what kind of relationship are we saying this person should have with staff? So if I think about how do I want this person to work with staff, what am I saying? I want this person to, how do I want this person to interact with staff members? So
Yeah,
Change students to staff. Change that one
but this
word to
is
staff.
not, students should not be in this section. How do I want this person to work with staff?
Take the student out, put the word staff in its place.
Yeah, that's
They
right.
changed the whole
He
meaning.
supports a culture of enhancing staff achievement.
But it's staff development.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I want
You
to,
know,
I mean, we could put staff development, I mean, I want a superintendent that's gonna support my growth in my career, or,
and to me, that's growth, that's development, that's not necessarily achievement, that's growth.
yeah, that's what I mean, no, I agree, to change the word achievement to development or.
Staff development. Do we like that wording?
Because it sounds like training rather than support. Or maybe if we say growth and development, it sounds more like you're helping them to succeed in. But when you say staff development, most people have in mind
Could we,
training modules.
Creates an atmosphere of trust and mutual respect, whatever you want to call it.
or just supports a,
Supports an atmosphere of
just
mutual
supports a
respect.
culture of trust and mutual respect. Or even just supports a positive culture among staff.
Right? You guys are gonna have to help me know what words you want to edit when you're talking now, because I think
We're just,
we moved
I think
to
we're
it.
just thinking out loud.
Okay.
Because culture is an overused word that has a specific meaning, but,
Right.
you know, so,
Well, and I mean,
so we talk about the culture and atmosphere.
because, yeah,
What about creates an
Culture is-
environment promoting staff?
Environment is a better word.
yeah, or climate. Because culture is the norms and values. Climate is the way it feels. So,
Do you guys,
climate or environment?
I don't know, I think Mr. Williams needs to decide.
We'll stay with the environment.
thanks, because I already have that typed, I appreciate that.
Lots of work.
I was about to go with that, because the climate is more limiting than the environment. The environment encompasses more.
Could be all of it, yeah.
Creates an environment of, is it professional growth and development? Or is it just staff growth and development, or something else? Or just sports and environment of growth and development?
I thought we were
Staff?
taking that part out and just putting creates an environment of trust and mutual respect. Because we don't need environment and atmosphere, do we?
Okay.
I'm just asking.
Creates an environment of trust and mutual respect. Do we need to leverage anything around growth or development for staff? I think that was the only thing that we left, or that we.
Now, so I think that the creative recruitment and retention strategies, so if you're working to retain staff, then that is growth. And
But to me, we're saying this whole part about leverages creative recruitment has to do with what I want the superintendent to do, not how I want the superintendent to treat people who already work here. So I'm not saying we want the superintendent to do this, but I'm just saying I'm not sure it belongs under staff relations. Because to me, what we're saying in staff relations is, this is how I want this person to interact with staff. We've already hired you, now what do I want you to do once we've hired you? So that's why that whole part about recruitment, to me, needs to be somewhere else.
See, and I guess I saw that different, because I think that prospective staff are developing that relationship there is just as important as current staff. That's why when you think about, you often see recruitment and retention strategies bundled together, because you're taking care of those that are prospective staff as well as those that are under your existing purview. So that's why I saw them going together under staff relations, because you're thinking about prospective employees. And I don't know where else to put it if we think it's important.
yeah, I mean, in the survey, it's like the top 4 were the open channels of communication, atmosphere of trust and mutual respect, process for recruiting and selection of top quality staff members, can drive culture change or strengthen culture of student achievement, supports staff development activities.
And what's the category?
Staff relations.
Staff relations.
Yeah, that was where the VSBA put it in their survey, but.
Yeah, and just from, in my mind.
Yeah, no, I mean, but like Mr. Rogers said, I don't know where else we put it. Do we have, oh, I guess we have, we have to pull staff relations. I guess that's their,
I think it's their standardized template probably that they're used to publishing it.
yeah.
All right, community relations would be our next category. Again, I tried to pull some words from the survey to insert in there that seemed to stand out, so open to what the board thinks about that sentence there.
We possibly add, referring to the center, encourages involvement from local partners in education, add a something along the lines of having a work-based learning.
Yeah, that's where I was trying to derive from. So, well, between work-based learning, CTE, and expertise that we have around here. So, one of my questions for you, Mr. Williams, maybe is under areas of expertise. I had inserted career and technical education development there, and if we leave that in areas of expertise, do we need to add that under the community relations, or to modify that? And if we do, I'm cool with it. Just tell me what words you guys would like to use.
Relates well to a variety of community groups, such as what are your community groups?
I would think that would be any of your civic organizations. It might be business partner groups. It might be your city, your county government, anybody that identifies as a community group. Yeah.
Can we,
Want to change the
can we
word?
change it to stakeholder?
I just didn't know which community group you're talking about.
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
All of them, yeah.
He only talk about partners and all of that.
Yeah.
The accomplish of the same thing without having to try to define it.
Yeah, because groups sounds.
One sample says relates well to a variety of community groups.
Relates well to all stakeholders. Just take that out.
So variety of stakeholders, or all stakeholders, or any other change to that? I'm gonna leave it as variety of stakeholders.
Should it be, the last part, should that be and effectively advocates for school issues and needs, or? I feel like it's missing something.
Effective advocates for school issues. And
So let's say advocates for school issues.
That's what candidate, that's their issue, is for school.
Issues and needs. I don't like those two words.
Issues.
Effectively advocates for the school division?
Yeah.
Or on behalf of the school division? Or?
And maybe take out effectively, because communicates clearly.
I don't know, Dr. Goodwin. If we hire somebody, I want them to be effective at doing that.
So what?
I said I prefer that they be effective, not just that they do it, but that they effectively do it.
But don't you want to be effectively encouraged? I mean, don't you want them to effectively do all the other things?
Well, you wouldn't put that in front of communicates clearly and openly. I would like them to effectively relate to the variety of stakeholders, but we said relates well.
But what about encourage involvement from partners in education, for local partners in education? So you don't care how that encouragement goes. That doesn't have to be that encouragement.
I don't know how to make it. I might need Ms. Hobbs to help me figure out how to make that grammatically correct to effectively.
This is not parallel.
Yeah.
So you say the successful candidate effectively communicates clearly and openly, relates well to a variety of stakeholders.
Right.
Right? That sounds
You're
good.
right on that one.
Yes? Huh?
You were saying, but
Oh,
I said put effectively in front.
there you go.
Then it encompasses all the three things that's common.
Can, when we're done with this one, can we go back to staff relations? Just for a second. So I asked, I love ChatGPT, by the way. So I asked ChatGPT, I just copy and pasted the sentence and asked it to include the culture of change and professional growth and all of that kind of stuff. So what it came up with was the successful candidate maintains open two-way communication with staff leverages innovative recruitment and retention strategies, and fosters a culture of change, professional growth, trust, and mutual respect.
I do not like that.
Okay.
Because again, I think that the word culture, it is a word that we throw around as a buzzword that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could change it to environment, but it makes it.
And I don't like, communication has to be two-way, otherwise it's not communication.
Yeah, well, we have that, I mean, it's.
But you
open
said
channels of
two-way communication, communication is two-way, otherwise it's not communication.
Could you paste it in this, Dr. Tyndall, right underneath what we already have, just so I do better if I can see it. I heard all the words you said, but.
It's not like what we have better than chats.
I like the first part of that. I like the leverages innovative recruitment and retention strategies. I just like it because it's more of a list instead of and.
So, and fosters an environment of change, professional growth, trust, and mutual respect.
I mean, why? An environment of change, what does that mean?
You move with the times. The outside environment, you move with the times. As the outside environment changes, you adapt.
But there's a difference between adapting and changing. So you have to be adaptable.
You adapt, you change.
But change, if you say encourage change for the sake of change, so.
Can we say advancement?
There you go.
Culture of advancement or something.
Yeah.
An environment of advancement, we can certainly do.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I understand that change.
Change for the sake of change. We're gonna change it from blue to black, I mean, that's change.
Adapting that from, you don't want everything changing. Something, but.
Well, how about adaptation instead of advancement? Because to me, adaptation is closer to change than advancement is.
All right, so adaptation. I'm just trying to make the sentences all work together now.
Like I said, I like your first draft better than the chat draft.
I lost part of it. What did I lose? Fosters a culture.
Fosters an environment.
All right, working on it.
Yeah, adaptation, professional growth. I'm gonna get rid of one.
Yes. All right. Is this sentence, so let me reread this sentence to make sure it makes sense now that we've made a Frankenstein sentence. The successful candidate maintains open channels of communication to and from staff, leverages creative recruitment and retention strategies, and fosters an environment of adaptation, professional growth, trust, and mutual respect. And Dr. Goodwin not liking it.
Oh, I'm not.
She likes the original better, but
I like the original better, but.
she likes the
I'm a
OG.
team player.
I like it. You're a collaborator.
She's a collaborator.
You're a collaborator.
Right.
All right. And we don't have to rehash community relations because we did that. Were we done with community relations? I think that is a yes. That moves us to school finance. The successful candidate closely supervises budget development and procedures, I added this, has a strong foundation in grant application and management principles and develops and explains the rationale for the budget to the board and local officials. Any thoughts on that?
I thought I saw one that had something about creative funding solutions in one of these little things.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, something that says, like lobbying isn't the right word.
Advocacy for?
No, it's, how do you go out and find the money that's out there and bring it to us? I don't know how to say it.
Lobbying, resourceful.
Resourceful. Yeah, so lobby was what I was thinking at first too, but then that sounds like legislative.
Your word was creative funding
yeah.
solutions?
Creative funding solutions.
I like it.
I think that's spot on.
Identify as creative.
Well, I just read that somewhere. One of these little samples.
You came up with it all on your own. I know you did. I saw the light bulb go right on.
I read it when I was reading through the sample.
Sources
You
or
got the
something.
word funding?
Sure did.
Yep, it's cold in here. Thank you. Don't feel it on your feet.
No, I knew you were cold when I looked over and you had your jacket on. I left my coat at school, so.
You left your new Southampton blanket at home. You should have brought it with you.
Cold in my
I'm gonna roll that up and tuck it in the
My
library
feet are
somewhere.
cold.
Bring it in for Ms. Lane.
That's right.
I'm wearing my boots. There you go.
Okay. Are we comfortable with the school finance section? I don't hear that we're not. Areas of expertise. The successful candidate has expertise in curriculum and instruction, career and technical education development, budget and finance, and school reform. I didn't understand this budget and finance and school reform, and then they qualified that with some strategic planning and total quality management. It didn't read smoothly to me, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. So.
It was a budget / finance.
But that's, I mean, that's, but we have that in school finance. Do we have to put it in areas of expertise too? I mean, we just said finance in the second or another.
Oh.
I would rather see, I mean, or in addition to, there needs to be something about operations. Do you know about plant management? Do you know about transportation, food service, custodians, maintenance, like?
So my question on that is, do we need them to be, when I look at areas of expertise, I think about the areas where we want them to have some of their strongest qualifications versus relying on expertise that may be in front of us. Or within the division or within staff that they would recruit and hire and all that kind of stuff. So do we want them to be expertise in operations and plant management? And it's okay if that's what you're saying. I just want to make sure that we don't give the exhaustive list of all of the things that need to happen within the school division as their areas of expertise, because we won't find anybody that does all of them.
Right.
Well,
Is there-
we know we get ready to build some schools, so we need to look for expertise in that area.
Well, or is there somewhere, and I don't know if this is the area to put it or not. I don't like the word expertise. I think it should be, and maybe we can't change it, but like, because I don't really think that it goes under just the regular qualifications that we were talking about at the beginning. But I think it's important that, she said we could change this, right? Can we put areas of knowledge or areas of experience? Because to me, I mean, expertise is, and that's hard. You're not gonna find somebody who has expertise in
All
everything.
those things.
Right, but if they have experience, you could say the successful candidate has experience in curriculum and instruction, or experience in curriculum and instruction is required. experience in whatever is recommended, or I don't know.
Hey, Mr. Hatch, could you close your pop-up for mini tool partition wizard?
I think maybe
I would be happy to.
expertise is a little much, but I want it to be more than it's
Knowledgeable, knowledge,
knowledge. It has to be that it's.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, because you can have experience
All,
and it
all
isn't
of us
good,
might
you
have
know.
some experience in all of that, but does that qualify us?
And so I think about how this translates to the screening and interview process, because that's ultimately what we're going to use this for, is the screening of candidates and then the interview process. The purpose, I think, of what this category was to highlight the things that we would be most interested in them being good at, like, or having strength in these areas. So it could be also areas of strength if you wanted to change the word from expertise to something. Strength might capture it in a little less daunting way. But what we're ultimately going to use it for is we're going to look at maybe two candidates, and one of them may have expertise in, I'll just say, gifted curriculum, and one of them may have expertise in curriculum and instruction generally, and we might need to pick between the two of them. Maybe both would qualify. That's a bad example.
Could it be worded like strong background?
How do you,
Strong background.
how do you determine expertise? Like in that example, what is it that would be in one resume that shows that they have expertise in gifted versus, you know what I mean? Well, I guess maybe that's what if we're using it to narrow our focus, how do you judge whether or not somebody is an expert at something?
Well, I think that certainly school reform needs to come out, because I don't think they need to be an expert at school reform, because what is it that we're reforming?
Yeah.
So, because we're not it's not like we're a failing school system. So,
I like strong background.
Say again?
Like a strong background, yeah.
no, they don't need a background in school reform at all.
I think he's saying
No.
in the subject heading,
In the subject heading.
instead of areas of expertise, strong background in, or strong background.
Yeah. You're not gonna find someone as an expert in all that, but they can have a strong background in it. Background knowledge. Yeah.
I want to advocate that we do areas of strength, because
Areas of strength sound better.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't mean that you have to be expert in it, but I think you have to demonstrate some strengths in that area.
And you could demonstrate strength through experience or coursework, or, you can demonstrate strength in a variety of ways. I guess we could determine that later. I like areas of strength.
Do we want to leave budget and finance as an area of strength? I mean, I get your point that it's listed above, but do we want that to be one of the places that now that we know that we're going to call these areas of strength, are these the areas of strength that we want the candidates to have? Or are we missing something, or is there something that we don't need to have in there as an area of strength based off of how we would select a candidate?
that's totally different career, budget and finance. So, you understand what I'm saying? It's a different career, but he or she could have a knowledge of it, but not an expertise in it.
What about school budget or school budget? Like,
He could give us an
Or just
example
school finance.
of what he could use for finance or what monies can go where. But that's a totally different category.
I think we're going to be asking questions about what they have as far as experience around budget and finance, but I don't know that we have to have it as a limiting factor.
And, I mean, I like leaving it in there.
I think that if you're an administrator, you need to have a working knowledge of it. But I don't know if it has to.
Why you have finance
If you've been a
directors.
building administrator, which we're telling them they have to be, I mean, you've done your school budget part, I mean, it's
Right, so.
mini version of it. I still think operations needs to be in there somewhere though.
Yeah, I think operations needs to be in
Sa-
it too.
Same thing, if we're talking about, you
From
know,
my budget and finance, you talk about.
well, and we're
operations.
talking about building new schools, we're talking about the needs of the
The
schools
needs
that we
of our
have,
district
and,
require that.
you know, operations is a. Where's Dr. Mel?
But
She's over there,
But the chief, you know, again, if, I know this is what we're gonna ask the questions about, but remember that when you talk about evaluating the superintendent, then the thing there you're gonna look for is curriculum and instruction, and student achievement, so.
yeah, there's so many, like, I've been working with our operations department. There's so many laws
Aspects
and
of it, yeah.
regulations and pieces of the operation stuff that I hadn't even thought of before, that
But the superintendent
I feel like,
need to, you know, have an area of strength, or should the superintendent have a working knowledge? Shouldn't be an area of strength, it's just, you gotta understand how it works, but it might not be an area of strength.
What about operational leadership, which is different than operations?
That sounds good.
Because,
yeah, but that's just leadership, I mean, that's not.
but that's where we need them to have their strength is so to think about if we've got an operations director or supervisor, whatever we have, and they're doing the day-to-day oversight of all of that, they're advising the superintendent, but the person that's in the superintendent's role needs to be able to lead the operations of the entire division, which includes those facility operations, but it includes a lot of other operations, including HR and finance and all that. Those all fall under some of those operational categories.
Yeah, but I mean, then the same could be said about curriculum and instruction. You have a chief academic officer and you're overseeing them, and they're the person with the strength. I just think that I think it would be important to have someone who is as well-rounded as we can get. I'm not saying that, you know, that it has to be somebody who's done a little bit of everything, because you're not gonna get, right, but, you know, if, at the same time, if we have somebody who has no knowledge at all of plant management and nutrition and all of that kind of stuff, then it's difficult to oversee those areas if you know nothing about it.
You want your superintendent to have an idea of synergy that's being developed by the total process, be able to structure that synergy or harness that synergy for the good of the whole.
Because operational leadership captures all of that.
Something like a well-rounded knowledge of all aspects of divisional operations, or something like that. That would encompass pretty much everything.
I kind of like the word that Mr. Smith said, synergy. Is operational synergy a strength that somebody could have?
Yeah.
Is that better than operational leadership? I mean, I know we want them to be a leader. Operational synergy's kind of got where you're making all the parts of the whole come together feels comfortable to me.
I like that. To me, it's that, like, you're seeing the whole iceberg. You know, people talk about you see the top of the iceberg, you gotta be paying attention to everything that's underneath it too, to make sure that everything is running smoothly together. And excellent word choice.
That brings us down to the places where we're supposed to be editing the document. Does anybody, do you want me to go back over it and reread the whole thing together?
Trust you to make it all parallel.
I made all the edits all here, and I'm going to send it to them and.
Tell them to edit, make it all parallel.
Correct.
Sounds good.
All right. So what I would do is entertain a motion to approve the superintendent's qualifications.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion by Tyndall, a second by Mr. Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we have an approved list of superintendent qualifications. Thank you very much. Is there anything else? Oh, I have one quick announcement for the board. We have an opportunity to participate in a cohort with the VDOE, I think, around finance planning and development. There's a cost to it that would give us Is Dr. Harris Muhammad still?
I believe she left.
Okay.
She
So
could have left.
Oh, that's right, she gotta be somewhere.
She might be
Go
outside.
ahead on read the statement. It's VSBA training with budget and finance.
yeah, budget and
Well,
finance.
we've done it before, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a small cost to it. I think it was less than $8,000, but more than $5,000. Do we want to engage in that? It would be eligible for us and for some of the members of central office. Is that something we want to talk more in depth about at the March meeting, or do we want to do any action on it this evening?
When is it?
If we need to talk about it in March, because I think we need to talk about the time commitment and who can participate and who can't,
Yep.
given the cost.
Yep.
When is it? I mean, like, are we looking at, I mean, it wouldn't help with this budget.
So Dr. Harris Muhammad, great timing. The training on school budget and finance that we have an opportunity to participate in. Do you have the information on cost and the timing of it so that we can, so we know if we're running up against a deadline before the March meeting?
Yes, sir. So the cost is $5,000. And the time frame is their first meeting, which is in March after our school board meeting. I am pulling it up. Get it right here. Just bear with me. Thank you so much. Excuse me. So the following dates for in-person sessions, is March the 3rd. The first one is next week. And it is, the cost for training, I'm glad I pulled it up. Board members, the cost for training is $7,500 per cohort. If for the full school board and staff to attend, the fee is $9,000. They have 3 sessions, touch screen, starting March the 3rd, second session March the 24th, third session Thursday, April the 30th, and then the last session is May the 12th.
So the $7,500 includes?
The $7,500, so it's the VSBA Fiscal Governance Program, offers an opportunity to strengthen the effectiveness and efficiency of your fiscal governance team, led by former Superintendent, VSBA consultant, Dr. Michael Thornton and Dr. Jeff Smith, through a series of activities and discussions centered around best practices. The program aims to enhance collaboration between school finance, instructional leadership, school division governance and administration, with the goal of positively impacting student outcomes. So I wanted to share as much as I could.
It's a weird time.
I think, because it's training in Charlottesville, and you gotta go to Charlottesville those days, right?
The chairman, I asked the chairman if he wanted me to ask that it could be virtual, and Samantha said no, they were face to face.
So it's face to face, you gotta travel to Charlottesville, it's in March.
So is it more than one session?
Yes, ma'am.
Well,
It's 4 sessions.
days. Yeah, 4 sessions.
4 sessions.
And I would think this would be something that would be better suited for the fall.
Yeah, that's what, it just seems like really weird timing to be talking about finance stuff now.
In the budget
Budgets
season.
are-
And they do it again, I mean, it's not like, it's the only time they've done it.
Yeah.
They'll repeat it. I think it ought to be the fall activity.
Yeah, it's not something I could do for 4 sessions. I mean,
No.
especially not traveling to Charlottesville.
Sounds like consensus is we don't need to take any action on that. But thanks for bringing it to our attention, Dr. Harris. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
You on there. Yeah.
Okay. That's all for this evening then, and I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So tell us again, when is our meeting with ESPA?
March 30th at 1 p.m.
So when you send this to them, and then they're gonna post it
post it Friday, right?
Not a social timeline, I guess is what I'm saying, the VSBA timeline.
Well, let me find the right book then.
Right. And I know it's in one of these books.
While you look for that, Dr. Harris, Mohammed, the survey, you did extend it a couple of days because of, issue.
Yes, ma'am, I sure did.
What's the cutoff date for?
The cutoff date, the original cutoff date
The second.
was the 2nd, and we've extended it to next Thursday. Yes, ma'am.
So-
We made sure
so
hard
it's cut
copies.
off on Thursday.
Yes, ma'am. We have, hard copies at every school central office for those who do not, our transportation, food service. Yep.
Based on
You got
Dr.
it?
Tender said it's over 200
No.
people, yeah.
It was exactly 200 today, so.
If it's in the book or if it's in one of the other handouts that I left in my stack at home that my wife's yelling at.
And, sure, and then this is the pay frequency survey, correct? Yeah, that's what I thought, yep.
I sure can.
So it was,
So it's.
oh, here, I have it. I knew it was somewhere.
So it is March the,
So.
March
where-
30th is our next meeting with VSBA.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah, that's at
So-
1 p.m.
Design, establish qualifications, you're gonna get that to them by February 25th.
March 30th.
Today, right, and so then February 27th through March 22nd is when the Revelus or whatever will be
Receive
open for
applications.
applications. And then we'll get access to all of the applications on the 23rd, which is that Monday. And then we meet with the SBA the following Monday, March the 3rd.
And that will be a meeting where we immediately head into closed session to review candidates
On March 30th.
on March 30th.
But we'll get the application on March 23rd.
The, March 30th, where's that gonna be at, here or?
That will be at the central office again.
Title I building.
Yeah, the Title I building. So,
Because then we were
Ms. Artis, you
talking
can
about
reserve Title, or
our-
make sure that we can have access to Title I building that day, on March the 30th.
Because then when she was talking about the 15-day windows that we had to have, we were talking about our regular meeting on April the 13th, announcing the 15-day window from the 14th to the 29th, but she said Laverne could start setting up interviews immediately after the
Actually,
meeting.
I think I've got to start doing most of that, but yeah.
That's about-
Contacting candidates and Ms. Artis can set up all the rest of the fun stuff afterward. Okay, so does that answer your question on dates, Dr. Goodwin?
Yeah, Ms. Artis.
Okay.
So we received the 2 days, I only needed 2 days really. We received the applications on the 23rd.
Yep.
And we'll do a VSBA on the 30th.
Yep, and then from there, we'll figure out openings for windows for interviews.
Right, that's all I needed.
Thank you.
And you needed us to send you days that we were not available between the 14th and the 29th, right?
I think that would be helpful information to have ahead of, trying to set those up.
Okay.
And if you can copy Ms. Artis on it, I'd be super appreciative of that. So there's more than one of me to make a mistake. April 14th to the 29th, when we would start to consider opening up a possible window for interviews. I just want to see if there's board members that are going to have any conflicts during that time. Just need to know if there's any days that you couldn't make work then.
What time is it?
All day.
We would be setting up a full day to interview multiple candidates in a day.
16th going down, I'm available. I can take off. I just got, I have a VA on that day.
Yes, we talked about.
Can we entertain, or sorry, did you have? I wanted, that depends on the number of candidates that we select to interview. So,
What did you say about 60?
we likely could, I'm thinking, keep it to 2 days in that 15-day time, or in that 15-day window is what I'm thinking we'll need, but that just depends on how many we end up selecting to interview. If we need a third day, we might have to add a third day.
And then we can.
But if there's any days that you can't work in that period, I can just start to consolidate that schedule now. That's all I'm looking for. All right, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn, or do we want to keep going? Did you get those first and second? Not today, I guess. Yeah, I guess we're okay now. Miss Artist does have a copy of the job description and the former and a boilerplate contract. If any of you need to see that, she's got copies of those. So I heard the motion in the second. We're adjourned.